Hello, this is Joan Fernley, your French and Latin diction coach for choirs. And in this video, I will read La Nuit, also known as L'Hymne à la Nuit. La Nuit is a perfect piece for community choirs and school choirs, and particularly good for concerts in November and December when we enter into the darkest days of the year. And because of its hymn-like harmonization, it can also feel religious, but it's simply an ode to night, and there's nothing religious about it. There's no religious message. So it's a bit of a chameleon. It's a secular piece. It can suit a secular program, but it also fits in quite nicely with a sacred music program. The piece is also in the public domain. It's quite easy and it's easily adaptable to different voicings. And it's also not too wordy, so it's a great way to introduce French to a choir who may be less accustomed to singing in French. Now, I transcribed the score for my own choir and I prepared practice tracks, and I've linked to those down below. I will begin this video with a very brief background on this piece. That will be followed by the reading, and I will end the video with tips for singers and conductors. And as always, if you like what I do, like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let me know if you're singing this piece in your programs this year. And of course, check out my other videos. And now let's get started. 20 years ago, in 2004, the critically acclaimed movie Les Choristes was released. It told the story of an underfunded school for orphan boys after the Second World War and their new teacher, a composer who had given up on music. It's an ensemble cast of many characters with many subplots, leaving no one untouched by the power of music and choir. It's thanks to that movie that many people, like me, discovered La Nuit. So where did this piece come from? The piece that the movie made famous was an early-ish 20th century harmonization by Joseph Noyon with lyrics by Édouard Chiortino, more specifically his last two verses of his Ode to Night. But this version is not the original. It's what's known as a musical parody according to the old definition, which simply means the reworking of an existing composition to form a new composition. The source material for La Nuit is a theme from the opera Hippolyte et Aricie, composed by Jean-Philippe Rameau in 1733. More specifically, it's this short excerpt from Act 1, Scene 3 that is the source material for La Nuit. It's the duet of Diane's priestesses, Rendons un éternel hommage. Ô nuit, viens apporter à la terre le calme enchantement de ton mystère. L'ombre qui t'escorte est si douce, si doux est le concert de tes voix chantant l'espérance. Si grand est ton pouvoir transformant tout en rêve heureux. Ô nuit, ô laisse encore à la terre le calme enchantement de ton mystère. L'ombre qui t'escorte est si douce. Est-il une beauté aussi belle que le rêve? Est-il de vérité plus douce que l'espérance? As far as French songs go, this one is pretty straightforward, and it's not too wordy. There are only 42 unique words, and yes, I counted them all. And also, there aren't too many major pitfalls, so this will be brief. Your first tip is the very first sound of the song, O. This is a closed, long O. It's actually not a word per se. It's the equivalent to saying, oh dear in English, but the pronunciation is different. Fundamentally, the French has no diphthong, and it's very rounded in the front and very open on the inside, and you get O and not O. Your second tip is the ever-challenging U sound, and I've gone on and on about this in most of my videos, but it's particularly important in this piece because it's in the second word that gets repeated in both verses, nuit. And it's a tricky one because I'll often hear nuit. So you have to take it apart and start with an E sound. E. And the E is not the wide cheese sound. It's the tongue is on the back of the front teeth. And as you're pronouncing it, you'll feel a bit of pressure on the teeth. E. Once you have that E, you simply round around the E. It's as if you were trying to hang on to a very narrow straw. E, U. The pitfall is that most people don't round enough. You really have to feel the muscles working. E, U. Now for the word nuit, it's the reverse. The U comes first. So you practice E, U, and then you reverse it. U, E. And that's all there is to it. There are two other words in the song that have the U sound. You have plus, and here the S is silent, and une. The letter U is also more than simply a vowel, it's a modifier. So an U that follows a C, a G, or a Q signals a hard consonant. Now in this piece, we only have examples with Q, and we have the word qui and que. This is not to be confused with Latin that would be pronounced qui and que, but in French we say qui and que. We also have examples where the U follows a vowel. First, we have the case of O and U, which is voiced oo, like an owl, hoo hoo. And be very mindful not to throw in a diphthong. It's not ooh, it's ooh. And it's a lot like the long closed O. When I pronounce a long closed O, it feels like the vowel is sitting under my ears, O. But when I pronounce oo, I bring it forward and it feels like it's sitting under my nose, oo. So in this piece, we have four words. We have pouvoir, douce, doux, and tout. Next is the U that follows an A or an EA, and that is voiced as a closed O. And we have two examples, beauté and aussi. And finally, there's the tricky EU combination that is voiced as Ö. And this is similar to the U, it's not in the English language. And here we have just one word, but it's a 2-for-1 special, it's heureux. So the way you get the Ö sound is a similar approach as U, but at this time we start with E. So we start with the E sound and we round around it. E, Ö, E, Ö. And again, like the U, you really have to use your lip muscles and really round around the vowel. And your final tip is a quick primer on the two most common nasal vowels, en and on. In singing, these nasal vowels begin with a closed ah and a closed o. The soft palate then drops down ever so slightly. Air goes through the nose, which is what gives it its nasal quality, and you go from ah to en and o to on. Now this is a bit different from speech. This word is a great example. In speech, I might say chantant. It's much more open, but in singing, I would say chantant. And it's that darkening sound that gives it a bit more focus. So in singing, the sound is more focused, it's more resonant, and also in choirs, you get a better blend. And overall, you get better diction. So it is a subtle difference, but it's might explain why you might have conflicting information on the phonetic symbols. Now keep in mind that the N and the M are never voiced when you have a nasal vowel. The N and the M are just there as a modifier and they signal that the vowel is nasal. But it's so tempting sometimes to voice the M, especially when it's followed by a closed consonant. So this word is one of the pitfalls. Many singers will anticipate the B and will hear an M. Ombre. I've talked about this in previous videos, but it is worth repeating when you have a closed consonant to watch out that you're not voicing the M. You have to be very careful to separate those sounds, on and bre. And as far as this combination, we have just three words, ombre, concert, and ton. And for the other nasal sound A, which either involves an A or an E, you have enchantement, transformant, chantant, espérance, grand, encore, and en. Well, there you have it, La Nuit. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let me know if your choir is singing this piece, and I will see you in the next video.